Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Hey. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Deliberate Millionaire Stream. How are you doing? Woo! I'm Rosemary Noni Knight. I am the Prosperity Minister and business coach to ambitious spiritual people who are determined to thrive, to prosper, to make at least six figures whilst living in line with their purpose. Is that you? I believe that we all get to live a true design life, a free, fulfilled, financially abundant, love drenched life. And everything that I do in this community, everything we do in this community is to support you in stepping away from what I call the underground, the noise, the nonsense, the drama that keeps you stuck in a life that is far beneath your true potential, that keeps you stuck in a place of disappointment and shame and regret because you know there's so much more that you're supposed to be doing with your life and you're not quite there yet. And we elevate you to your throne room where you are one, where you know yourself to be one with the divine. You're always one with the divine, okay? Where you know yourself to be one with the divine, and therefore you know yourself to be powerful, you know yourself to be limitless, you know that whatever you decree must absolutely come to pass. Now, these are things that we know as spiritual people, particularly as ambitious spiritual people. We know this stuff, but it's not always stuff that you recognize that you have to practice into you. Okay. But today we're talking about, is it okay for you? Because this is something that a lot of my clients they have to get over this weird way of thinking. Is it okay for me to earn from my spiritual gifts, from the gifts and the talents that I feel that the divine has placed within me? Am I allowed to charge money for this stuff? We're going to look at that. But to start, we're going to start with our affirmation. I am loved, I am worthy, I am enough, and I deserve the best. No longer am I alone. I feel your power and your presence here. We're going to start with that. And then we will go into talking about this particular topic. This year, it's a new year. We may as well make sure that you start the year with the right kind of thinking that gets you the things that you want this year. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Deep breath. I am loved. I am worthy. I am enough and I deserve the best. I am loved. I am worthy. I am enough and I deserve the best. No longer am I alone. No longer am I alone. No longer am I alone. I feel your presence here. No longer am I alone. No longer am I alone. No longer am I alone. I feel your power here. And that is our affirmation for this one. I am loved, I am worthy, I am enough, and I deserve the best. And I want you to kind of really take this on board because you are loved, you are worthy, you know this stuff. You kind of know this stuff, but are you living it though? Are you living it? And when it comes to wondering if you're okay, if you're allowed to earn from the gifts that you may feel that the divine has placed within you, and maybe you even feel that you're supposed to give them all away for free. And I've had clients where when I'm speaking to them, they just can't seem to help themselves. They want to give everything away for free. They feel as though they are doing a bad thing. And there's all this guilt that infects everything that they're trying to do. And so that kind of makes everything take a little bit longer, because if there's a part of you that's feeling guilty about charging for what you're trying to do in the world, guess what? You're going to hide. You're going to play smaller. You're going to pretend you're going to pretend that you're doing everything, but you're not actually doing everything because there's a part of you that thinks you're not allowed to do this stuff. This is particularly if you were brought up in a religious setting where a lot of your training might even have come from a religious setting. So there's a part of you that feels like you're only supposed to use it within a religious setting. But here you are as an ambitious spiritual person, and you know that you would like to make money whilst doing the things that you actually love. But if there's a part of you that thinks you're not allowed to make money doing what you love, then you're kind of in trouble, right? And our beliefs about this stuff really have such a huge impact on what we allow ourselves to do. Okay. There's a part of you that thinks that you're supposed to give every single thing away for free. There's part of you that thinks that maybe doing it at church or doing it in your community center is good and it's holy, but doing it as a business owner is bad and secular and worldly. And how dare you connect your spirituality with your material stuff, and you're not supposed to do that. And you kind of really set yourself up for a whole lot of failure if this is your underlying thought, okay? You don't see how your ministry can actually overlap with something that you're doing in the world. We talk good, and this is the thing for a lot of you. It's not something that you're always conscious of, but I want you, now that you're making the decision to live in line with your purpose, this is an issue that must be faced. If there's a part of you, because I actually belonged to a church once that was very much about being poor and broken, okay? And that was considered holy. And the rich were selfish, and the rich was anybody that seemed to be doing okay in life, basically, and that they were selfish and they were bad and they were evil, and that, you know, we have to take care of all the poor and the broken. The problem was that everybody just seemed to stay poor and broken, basically, which I always thought, well, are we actually helping anything if people come to us, they're poor and broken, and then they remain so? And in fact, if anything, there seemed to be a desire to celebrate their poorness and brokenness, which seems crazy, but at the time it felt like the thing to do. But yeah, thankfully I did kind of step away from that stuff, into the recognition that no, I believe that we all get to actually live. We get to get better. We get to get better. You're not supposed to stay poor and broken forever, basically. And I know we can call trauma and all this stuff, and there's not, absolutely, there's trauma, yes. And I'm not saying that these things are unreal, but sometimes the environment in which you place yourself can continually encourage you to stay poor and broken. And certain people are attracted to that environment because they like the sympathy and the pity that they're continually getting. And that cannot be us, okay? And I say this knowing that can possibly annoy you, because if you're an ambitious spiritual person, you do not identify in any way as a victim. And yet, I don't identify anyway as a victim, but the divine did have to bring to my attention where I was acting like a victim. There might be a part of you that still does like to tell a sad story, and that needs to shift. Okay, but coming back to what we're talking about here, if you've been reading a sacred text like the Bible or whatever, and reading things like "Blessed are the poor," and then you're telling yourself that poverty, that just means poverty. Now, I've heard all kinds of different interpretations of that. I'm not even going to try to interpret it here. But if your only interpretation is that you are supposed to be poor and broken, then you will struggle. Especially if you felt like like Jesus has said that you're only blessed if you're poor, then even when you're in your job and you're earning an okay wage, there might be a part of you that still feels kind of guilty. But you allow yourself to earn an okay wage when you're doing something that is obviously nothing to do with your spiritual giftings and your spiritual talents and all of that stuff. But when it comes to doing things like coaching or healing or teaching or really empowering someone, you don't allow yourself to make money doing it. But it's okay to make money doing what you hate, but it's not okay to make money doing what you love, because money should only be associated with bad stuff. It's time to wake up from that kind of thinking. The divine does not need you to be poor. The divine does not need you to be broken. Okay, so enough with this crazy thinking. In fact, the very same Bible that you might be quoting from also talks about how, you're supposed to have life in all its fullness in this life, not just in some next life somewhere. It also talks about how, that those that labor are entitled to their compensation. It also celebrates wealth. As well as there's certain passages that people particularly harp on when it comes to being poor and being broken and staying that way. We cannot be those. Listen, you need to be, you probably are not someone who thinks that way, but you feel guilty for not thinking that way. And that in itself is also an issue, okay? That in itself is an issue, because if everything you do is cloaked in guilt, that will not allow you to prosper either. Guilt tells your subconscious mind that you are bad. And you probably have programming inside of you telling you that bad people are not allowed to prosper. And so you will sabotage yourself and won't even realize that that's what you're doing. Okay? The truth is, the divine does not need to withhold anything from you. So your beliefs are the thing that is keeping you from allowing yourself to make money whilst living in line with your purpose, make money doing what you love. Okay. There's a part of you that's worried that if you earn too much whilst doing what you love, that you're going to be corrupted. There's this vow of poverty that people take, usually unconsciously. Okay. This underlying belief that to be spiritual means that you're supposed to be modest, and you're supposed, in fact, if anything, you're supposed to have, you're supposed to always struggle financially. I can't tell you the number of people who will fight to the death for their ability to stay broke. I find it fascinating. Really, I've had friends who do this, where they're like, "Oh no, I've learned to be content, and this is the way it's supposed to be," and that they're so worried that if they earn too much, well, they don't even consciously think this, but they think that people that earn too much are usually corrupted in some way. They're possibly on a power trip somewhere. There's lots of judgments about people who have money. Okay, and people that are in business, that they're somehow evil and they're somehow bad and they must do things wrong. And yeah, it's difficult to be friends with people like this, because they generally tend to look at me as well as somebody that's just about the money. And there's the deep thinking, when you have this vow of poverty mindset, that God wants you to struggle all the time, all the time. And there's a nobility that comes with struggle. And I get that, you know what, sometimes the physical reality can be quite challenging. Absolutely, it can. But for you to then think that you're supposed to always struggle, or that the divine needs you for whatever reason to struggle, I mean, really think about what you're thinking about. And particularly if you're the ambitious spiritual person that I'm talking to here, it's sometimes more hidden in you than it is for those that very obviously say, you know, I'm supposed to be broke and I'm supposed to be content with whatever I have, even if it's almost nothing. Basically, you don't say that. You just believe it deep down inside and feel guilty for wanting what you want. You feel guilty, and because you're not voicing it, it's such a deeply held belief, and it keeps you from your destiny. You must question these ideas within you. If what I'm saying in any way resonates with you, question your ideas about, question, do you carry this vow of poverty? You need to shed it. You need to deny it and choose a vow of abundance. Choose that you're allowed to go into your sacred text and find all the passages about wealth and abundance, and choose to start repeating those to yourself, rather than the ones where you're, blessed are the poor and blessed are the broken and all of that stuff, basically. And really, maybe even look at the ones that say blessed are the poor, blessed are the broken, and see, is there anyone that interprets that differently from you? Because I can assure you that there are people that interpret it differently. Because hiding, pretending that you don't feel this stuff, but then being cloaked in guilt all the time, will still prevent you from making six figures whilst living in your purpose. Okay, so you might think that you might feel that there's some kind of guilty. You feel guilty, or you feel greedy if you go after every single thing that you desire. So you feel dirty, you feel ashamed, even when you're charging a fair rate. So then you don't want to charge anything. Okay, and in fact, you equate all desire for money with greed. It's not true. You need money. You need money. Now, some of you might think, well, I just need to have just enough. I need to just get what I need instead of what I want. But I need you to really think about this. Why do you believe that the divine, who knows only abundance, needs you to stay in lack? Really think about that, because I had to start to, because I definitely suffered from, I knew I wanted more, but I felt guilty for wanting more. I had to question those ideas inside of me. Where did they come from? Why did I think that the divine needed me to stay broke? Why did I make money into something evil, when money is completely neutral? It is what we choose to do with it that makes it good or bad. And we are the ones that define good or bad anyway. We want to even go deeper than that. Ultimately, when you provide a service to someone, you're providing a certain amount of energy that they want for whatever reason. They provide money in return. So it is just ultimately an exchange of energy. You give and you receive. They give and they receive. That is all that is happening, unless you decide that it must mean something else. And you need to notice as well where, when you're feeling resentful, especially if you're trying to grow a business and you're feeling resentful about what you're having to do for people, check in with yourself. Are you overgiving because of this vow of poverty that you've taken? Because of this vow of not charging or under earning, basically, even though you don't actively know that this is what you're doing, but it is what you're doing. You're under earning, you're undercharging, you're giving until you burn out. And some of you have burned out because you've been giving and giving and giving way too much, not just in terms of your business, but even in general life. Because there's a part of you that thinks you're supposed to give and give and give and give, because you tell yourself that it's more blessed for me to give than to receive. And instead of recognizing you need to give and receive, they need to give and receive as well. You giving, and then receiving. It's generally weakening them. Handle these underlying principles that you're living your life based on, because they're not getting you anywhere good. Okay? You are allowed to earn. And in fact, that's why you have to me, the gifting, the ability to heal, to teach, to coach that you have is there because you are meant to use it, and you are meant to use it in your everyday life, and you're allowed to make money whilst doing it. If I don't understand the thinking. I don't understand anymore. I used to understand it, but I don't understand the thinking that the divine has given you a vision and a gift so that you stay destitute if you try to live in it. It makes absolutely no sense to think that way. And yet a lot of spiritual people, particularly religious people, do think that way. You do not need to join them. Yes, you might. Another reason why sometimes people stay undercharge and under earn when they're in their business, or don't even let themselves start business at all, is because you're worried about what people will think about you. I know that when I started in business, I did have friends saying to me that I've now become just about the money. And I hated hearing that. I must admit, there was a particular friend that said this to me, and I remember that we used to sit together talking about how broke we were, but that was okay. It was okay when I was talking about how broke I was and how I just don't have enough money to do this and do that. But when I decided to do something about it so that I wasn't just moaning about not having enough money, that became a problem. So it was okay to talk about being broke, but it wasn't okay to talk about making money. Of finding ways to make money, basically. And I found that very, very fascinating, actually, that, oh, okay, I can only talk about money in certain contexts with certain people. You cannot allow somebody who has decided that they want to stay in poverty to control what you do with your life, okay? You cannot allow that. This is your one life. You do not know that you're going to get to do this again. Everybody's speculation about what happens in the next life is just that, speculation. What you do know is that you have the gift of today, and you have the ability to help people, and you have the ability to enjoy the money that you make as a result of helping people. And in fact, the truth of the matter is the only way anybody makes money is by helping people. So why cloak yourself in guilt or shame, or telling yourself you're greedy, or doing it subconsciously, but having that vow of poverty that I've mentioned? Enough of this stuff. It just leads you to frustration, particularly if you're that ambitious spiritual person I'm talking to now. If you're not an ambitious spiritual person, the chances are you're listening to me and thinking, you're just so greedy, that's why you're talking about money, in which case you should not be listening. But that's okay. But for you guys who know that you would like your life to really be about doing things that you would really like to do and getting paid to do it, you need to handle these internal crazinesses. Because in the very same, if it's your sacred text that is telling you, or you've decided to misinterpret parts of your sacred text and it's telling you that you're supposed to be broke, check again. You'll see that there's also passages telling you about how it is okay for you to live in abundance. Okay? I would suggest that for the sake of empowering yourself, you pay more attention to the ones that you understand to mean that you're allowed to live in abundance. And at some point, I would suggest that you also look at the ones that you think are endorsing poverty, and look again. Ask the divine to show you again what it means through the divine's eyes. rather than you just listening to what somebody may have told you who knows what time, and you're still living to that now. Okay? Choose to minister to people with your giftings and to earn a lot of money whilst doing so. Yes, a lot of money whilst doing so, not just a little, a lot. Allow yourself to do this. Allow yourself to be blessed. Allow yourself to prosper. Notice any guilt. Notice any shame that comes up when you talk about money, when you start, you tell people how much you charge. Notice any tension that comes in your body, any nervousness about mentioning your rates. Practice saying your rates with confidence. Practice taking deep breaths and allowing yourself to feel at ease when talking about money. Practice this stuff. Yes, there's internal work that needs to be done, allow the divine to flow love through you and dissolve all of these crazy ideas, but also from a very practical perspective, practice saying your rates with confidence. Practice loosening up your body so that when you do talk about money, you talk about it confidently. You don't feel anything. And then, ask the divine to support you in healing any deep-seated beliefs that make it bad for you to make money whilst doing what you love. Sacrifice is not required. The divine knows only the abundance. Why do you think that you need to sacrifice everything in order to live a good life? The divine doesn't demand this of you. It is your flawed ideas that keep you stuck thinking this stuff. Or for us in this community, for most of us, it's going to be that it keeps you stuck in a job you do not like, telling yourself that you have to do it because that's the only way you can make money. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. But it will seem true to you. And so then you want to allow yourself to fully embrace using your giftings to make money. You are meant to live a life that you enjoy. Why then will you continually force yourself to live one that you do not? Wake up. It is okay for you to earn whilst using your spiritual gifts to help other people. In fact, the more people you help, the more money you can make if you will allow it. And stop telling yourself stories. Give yourself permission to make money doing what you love. Give yourself permission to live in your purpose profitably. Decide that you must, that you will, that this is your birthright because it freaking is. Stop holding yourself back. Notice where you do. Ask the divine to heal you and then practice being healed. Okay? Stop waiting for some kind of magical moment when you suddenly feel better. Practice saying your rates with confidence. Practice looking at your money and feeling good about it. Practice telling yourself that, yes, I am going to be a multimillionaire. And feel good about it. Allow yourself to prosper. Okay, I'm going to finish there. If you are determined to make at least 6 figures whilst living in line with your purpose, I suggest strongly that you get a copy of my book, Remove the Blocks, because what it will do is help you remove the blocks. Remove the blocks to living in line with your purpose. It will help you clarify your purpose. That's part 1. Part 2 will give you a strategy for removing the blocks to living in your purpose. And part 3 is the 6-figure spiritual business strategy. So you will also get a strategy, a step-by-step plan on exactly what to do to make 6 figures by this time next year whilst living in line with your purpose. The book can be got if you're on Instagram. It's called Remove the Blocks and it's in my bio. I think it's around this video. Wherever else you're listening to it, it's around the video, or it'll be in the show notes, whatever. It'll be somewhere. Have a look around. You'll see. Go get a copy of the book, Remove the Blocks, and actually read it and implement it in your life. Okay? Okay, guys, it's been a pleasure. Until the next time, much amazing love. Remember, it is okay for you to live profitably in your purpose. Just allow yourself to, okay? Much amazing love. Bye.